GBHL logo, I've lost the fight. Just imagine the letters of GBHL forming a logo. Yeah.
Welcome, Strategy Battle Gamers, to another GBHL YouTube video. You're here with host GBHL Damian, and this is my hobby vlog number 54. Oh yes, that's 5 in a relative row. We're doing very well here, and I am very happy. Hope you're all right. I hope you get a lot of hobbying done throughout January. This is my first hobby vlog that will be landing sometime in February, and it does have a bit of a January hangover to it, so I can only apologise for that, but I'm still pretty pleased so far with what we've got done. This hobby vlog is going to be focusing on the 6 Morannon Heroes that were outstanding from my previous project. So they're all, I'd say they're more than half painted. They're about 2/3, 3/4 painted, but because they're heroes, I'm going to try and push them all a little further. They're all up to the level that the warriors were left at the end, but I'm going to try and push each one of these a little further. So my original plan was to do the 6 heroes and to try and do one a night over the course of a week, essentially, and just, you know, however much painting time, right, I've got 2 hours painting time tonight, that's how long Zagdush gets. He gets 2 hours and I can do what I want with it. After that you have to draw a line under it. I've kind of rode back on that a bit, and I think I'm going to do them in 2 groups of 3, so 3 heroes over the course of a few nights, but we'll see. Some of them are inevitably going to take longer than others, but yeah, hopefully I'm going to, you know, they'll take as long as they take, and I won't kind of just finish them if I'm not happy with them, but I am going to try and be really harsh on myself and give myself a kind of, right, you know, these can only hang over for so long. Give it about a week, much more than that, and I think it'll just start annoying me. It's let's be honest with myself, it's 31st, it's a Friday, so I reckon at the very latest I want this finished by next Monday, so that'll be about 10 days, so that I've kind of got this weekend, and maybe I'll give myself some time next weekend as well to finish those off. But equally, I've got a whole load of other hobby projects coming up for the fast approaching GT, and I need to move on. But there we go. So yeah, that's hobby vlog 54. I don't think there's much else to say other than we're going to pop over to the table and show you where the models where they are at the moment, essentially, how they're looking at the moment, and then jump in to the rest. Cool. Bye. Okay, and here are my 6 Morannon Heroes as they currently stand. You saw them ages ago on hobby vlog, I don't know, 50, 51 or something, when they were silver. It's about 4 weeks later as I'm recording this now, and they've obviously come on quite some way. So we have Zagdush, Gothmog's Enforcer, Goroth, Morannon Captain, Morannon Shaman, and my drummer. And what these basically have at this stage is they've been painted basically to the same level as my warriors. So I'll give you some idea of what that looks like. Here is Zagdush. So his, it's getting a bit darker now, isn't it? Why is that? His face could be finished. The chances are probably pretty good that I'll try and push it further, but he's as good as the warriors. You can see all the red's been finished in exactly the same way, but where this guy might be lacking at the moment is in the browns. So he has this new kind of the brown loincloth there, and the brown trousers at the back here. Those bits won't have had, they won't have been pushed up because those colours just weren't on the plastic Morannons. Also, none of these guys have had their armour edge highlighted because I decided to do that individually as I got to them. Next up, Gothmog's Enforcer, who I have to admit is the one that I'm currently least happy with. There's something about this, I really like the model, but I'm just kind of not enjoying painting it for some reason. And the cloak's right, I think it's the fact that all around here we've got this large combination of kind of like fur and then hair and mutton chops, and at the moment the distinction between them is just not all that great for me in my paint job, so that's what I'm going to be trying to work on, hopefully. I think he needs the most work really out of any of them. Goroth, on the other hand, is the one that's arguably most finished. I think like Zagdush, he's got some brown trousers on there that could do with a few extra highlight layers, but even his face is probably, I don't know if this is going to show up, focus for me, probably the best of the faces on the heroes so far. I'll probably do a few extra highlights on it just to really make it pop, but pretty pleased with how he's coming along. We have the Morannon Captain.
He's looking pretty good. The head obviously hasn't had much done on it because there's much the colours. Loads of armour on this guy, ready to be edge highlighted. Again, he's got the brown trouser thing. I decided to make the heroes stand out a bit by giving them different coloured clothing, whereas all the cloth on the plastic rands is painted red. On these guys, I gave them one item, like a kind of tabard or a tunic of red or something, and then everything else different. We have the drummer, who again is one kind of like Gothmog's Enforcer, which I'm not really enjoying, trying to figure out what everything is. There's a lot of detail on this hood, kind of, it almost looks like it becomes hair down here, which is quite confusing. You've obviously got all the skin on the drum to do, and then back here, there's one particular bit on the shoulder here, I don't know if you can see where this chainmail becomes red, that little bit underneath the tunic. I've gone back and forwards with what it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be tunic, but then when you paint it, it almost looks like it's part of the chainmail sometimes. So yeah, not hugely enjoying that one. And then we have the last one, which is the shaman. It's going alright, but there's just a big black cloak, and so I'm doing this kind of cloak and trying to layer it up using my normal black method I got from Kev Spector, which is using vomit brown to mix in with it. It looks alright. It looks better in the hand at the moment than it probably does on the camera, because you can't quite see the subtleties, particularly in this lighting. But there we go. So those are my 6 heroes, which the subject of this hobby vlog is to get these 6 finished. I really hope this isn't going to take very long. I picture this being about a week. It is the 31st of January at the moment, so my hope is that it's done by the end of the first week of February. I'm already slightly behind on my schedule. I thought these would be done by the end of January, but you know, we'll see what I can do. You can also see that I've decided I'm probably going to paint them in batches rather than doing like one at night, which was my original plan. I think I'm going to work on these on 3 first and then 3, so that you can do, there are still shared colours to do with armour highlighting and that sort of stuff, and it might keep me sane a little. And I've decided to pick the slightly more boring ones first, the unnamed ones, just to get them out of the way, as it were. You'll also notice that their bases are actually, by my standards, finished. I'm going to focus. So they've had the all these bases need is to have the rims painted and have some static glass flocked down, glued down. Sorry. The reason for that is that I did them at the same time I did the plastic Morannon bases, because I figured I wouldn't normally do this, because as you hold a model, grab one of these guys. If you hold it like this, as you paint it, you're going to chip off the sand. But I knew that I had 2 batches of 3, and I've got 3 painting handles, so I figured I could do all the dry brushing on that and get it onto their feet before I do all the highlights, so I can kind of tidy them up. And I'm never going to damage the bases because I'm going to be holding the painting handle. So yeah, that's just a bit of a time saver really. But all that's left for me to do on them will be paint the rims when they're actually finished, and then we'll be good to go. So yeah, there we go. I'll probably we'll have to see, but I'll probably come back when maybe these 3 are finished, hopefully in a couple of nights time, and then I'll come back again when these 3 are finished, possibly, or who knows, maybe it'll just be when all 6 are finished. But hopefully not going to be a particularly long hobby vlog this time. Alright, I'll see you soon. Progress! Yep, good news. I'm happy to report that 3 other models are painted, so let's have a look. The first one I managed to finish was this dude, the Morannon Orc Captain. And I was actually pretty happy with him. I was pleased with how he turned out. As we would have seen him not long ago, at the kind of same stage of the Warriors, and he's just been kind of finished off in a kind of wide selection of ways. Probably added a few edge highlighted his armour with Ironbreaker, I think, to make it pop, and then put in some more shades, maybe with Reichland Flesh Shade in there to kind of give it that kind of red hue on him. Obviously painted up the severed head for him, which came out quite well. Maybe put a little more time into the face. I went a bit crazy. It's not very Middle Earthy, but seeing as he's holding a severed head, I put a bit of blood for the blood of the blood god, or whatever that one's called, on there. And then it was just the browns, really, the brown cloth area on his trousers that needed working up, because the Warriors didn't have that. But yeah, I was pleased with him. I think he came out well. I can't imagine I'm ever going to use him in anything other than a thematic game, because he's even in the Gothmog's Legion, there's like 5 named heroes, aren't there, that you'd probably pick before him. But very, very cool model, and happy to add him to the collection. So that was really positive. And then after that it went downhill. I did these 2, the drummer and the shaman, kind of together, and I really just didn't enjoy it. I don't like this model It doesn't feel very. I'm kind of anti-shaman. I used shamans loads when I was playing competitively in the old edition with my Urukai, and they used to be amazing. They're still pretty good. They're not quite as good as they used to be, but they're still well worth it. But I just don't think they're very Middle Earthy, and I've never liked this model. And he's just a bit. It's like a Scooby-Doo villain. He's going, ooh, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you pesky Dunedain. But I don't really like it. I didn't enjoy painting it, and I don't think it's very good. So it's a bit rubbish, and I haven't actually looked at it since before filming this for a few days. And I picked it up thinking, oh, maybe I think it's better than it was. And nope, I still think it's a bit crap. So a bit disappointing, but the good news is it doesn't really matter because I have no intentions of ever using him in a game. So I can't really see it being a big problem. I have no idea why his cloak is so shiny. His cloak looks stupidly shiny, and I've just used all the normal paints I normally do, and it came out shiny, which is stupid. So don't really like this, not very happy with it, and I'll probably never use him in a game. But I have, however, ticked him off that list. So there's not like a Morannon Commander's box with just one shaman lying in it somewhere. So that's good. So he's done. The drummer I'm slightly more happy with, but again, didn't enjoy the process at all. I think he came out better than the shaman, but I just couldn't. There's just too many bits in it that I just couldn't. I didn't feel landed right for some reason. I can't quite put my finger on it. I didn't enjoy the process. I do like this model. Compared to the shaman, I think it's a cool model, and I could see me using it in games, so I care a bit more. But yeah, I just didn't. Well, it's just certainly far from my best work. I don't know. It's really weird. Sometimes things just don't fall right for you. It's bizarre. But he's all right. He'll do. Very all painted in the same way. I think it was just the drums, the primary thing that's different here, which I think was a tusk or flesh base on the. I painted this bit here as skin. Like flayed skin, I presume it's meant to be, and then highlighted that up by adding some sort of Rakarth flesh to it and that sort of thing. That was pretty much it. The rest of it's pretty standard Morannon Orc. So there we go, 3 Morannon Orc heroes finished, and I'm afraid to say, as I'll explain when I debrief, that's going to be all the Morannon Orc heroes that are going to get finished in this video. But I did have some other things that I wanted to kind of fill you in on, other bits and bobs. Now you may well have seen some of these in other videos, but even if I paint things on different kind of vlogs, I always like to update my hobby vlogs so that there's a record of it. I also got these guys done. The King of the Dead and the Heralds of the Dead. So you may well have seen the, I've done the whole video for these, the unboxing and hobby vlog, but I thought it was worth just quickly, you can have a good detailed look at them in there, but I thought I just wanted to make sure they were documented on my hobby vlogs as well. I'm really happy about how they came out, and it was just exactly the same process as my old Army of the Dead. So sprayed white, base Nihilach oxide, wash with BL10 green, and dry brush with Ulthuan grey. And then I was planning on doing more complicated stuff, and I was actually thought, nope, that looks good. And of course it now matches completely with the army. So it was a really, really quick paint job. I love this model so much. It's so cool. He might be featuring in issue 10. Looks really nice on the screen actually at the moment. I think the lighting's working well for it. So he had that, and then we have his 2 heralds, which are kind of cool as well. This came out really well, and I think the detail on the plastic model just really kind of took the dry brushing really, really well, and it doesn't look like the kind of dusty or powdery look that you sometimes get with dry brushing. It just looks nice and smooth. Like I spent hours and hours and hours blending it, which I didn't. I just dry brushed it. So yeah, it was cool. I was happy with that. And then the other herald is here. So 3 more models to add to the painted list. And if you go back to watch that grand plan video from hobby vlog, what was it, 51, 52, something like that, you'll see that these guys I think were in the box then saying they need to be painted in January, and they got painted in January. So that was super cool as well. Got those 3 done, which is great. And the last thing I managed to get painted in January was entirely inexplicably some Moria Goblins. What the hell? You will have seen these on Battle Streams of Middle Earth. If you watch that, it's the new series I'm doing with Steve, where we are we're inspired by the Zorpazorp Lockie's channel, where he's doing every fortnight. He's going through an issue of Battle Games of Middle Earth. Me and Steve every month we're going to go through the 2 issues that he's gone through and try and clear our backlog out. And so the first 2 issues were either Moria Goblins or Last Alliance Warriors, and I used this as part of the grand plan So, do you remember how I said that I'd gone through my collection and identified models that were at risk to sell off? Well, these were in here. I found 9 Goblins in a box. I thought I'm never ever going to paint them, so I put them at the at-risk box. And then when I saw Lockie's podcast, I went, hang on, crazy idea. Don't sell them, just paint them. So despite the fact I had loads of other projects going on that were far more important, I dug out 9 Moria Goblins that I have no intention of ever using. These are going straight back in the box after I've shown you one here. And I got them painted, and of course that bolsters my my painted numbers and reduces my unpainted backlog, which is super. Now the only reason this worked, the only reason I was able to paint up 9 warriors in a couple of evenings is because I painted them how I painted my old Moria Goblins. I'm just showing you all of these. So they're really, really basic. They're nothing like how I'd paint a model now. If you actually look at this, what I've done, now let's get the archer because he's got the most different colours on him because of his quiver. The armour is just dry brushed, so they're sprayed black and then dry brushed Castellax bronze, I think it is, then dry brushed Ironbreaker, and then the skin is something like Castellan green. The red is something like Wazdaka red, I think, and then the brown areas, the quivers, are like scorched brown. Then I wash the whole model, and then I give those colours, those exact same colours, I paint them over again as a highlight, and that is it. I also pop the eyes in. That's all I do. And it's incredibly basic now, and I'd never consider these guys to be done like for a new army. If you consider that my Morannon Orcs had about 3 more highlight layers on them, but all my old Moria Goblins, and I've got one here, looks like this. So this is one that I painted 10 years ago. So of course I don't want half my Moria Goblins to be much better highlighted than the other half. So I've by trying to match my old army, I've basically found a way of speed painting models. So you can see the difference. So you can see that it's not exact because I've probably I was just guessing at the colours I used 10 years ago, but it's close enough. And certainly when you pop them down here, I think it's fair to say if you look down on them, you can't necessarily see the difference between them. So yeah, that was really good fun. Battle Streams Middle Earth. If you didn't, if you missed it, it is still there. You can watch it kind of on replay and. Catch up there. You obviously won't be able to interact with us, but it worked really, really well. It was really good fun and allowed us to get another 9 models added to my tally, which was super cool. I'm looking forward to doing more of those streams in the future. So there we go. And there is just one last model I want to show you because I think this is just anecdotal. It's not a new model that's painted, but it was something I wanted to show you in my Morannon Orc video, but I thought that was long enough. So, when I painted my Morannon Orc army about a year ago, I got this Gothmog, and I got this from my friend Kieran Street. He very kindly sent it over to me. And he said the only problem with it is that the sword was broken. So when I got this Gothmog, his hand had snapped off, or his sword had snapped off. And I was desperate for a Gothmog at the time. I was like, yep, that's absolutely fine. I'll sort something. So what I did was I picked up Metal Gothmog, who was the one I had. This is my Gothmog, and I looked at his sword. And then I went hunting for a sword that looked like Gothmog's sword. And I found this dude, who is one of the, not this dude, anyone but that dude, this dude, who is one of the plastic Morannon Orcs. And as you can see, his sword is pretty similar. And if you've been paying attention, you'll know that last year I needed 24 Morannon Orcs, and there's obviously 36 in the starter set. So I painted up 2 sprues, and the 3rd sprue, this guy was on here, I cut his sword off, I chopped his sword off, and I gave his sword to my Gothmog. So that hand and that sword are that Morannon Orc. Yay? Keeping up so far? I just chopped the hand off and put it on there. So that left me with this guy, or a different version of this guy, with he had no hand and he had Gothmog's fist saved in a little plastic bag. So then, a couple of weeks ago, when I came back to paint my final sprue of Morannon Orc Warriors, which you've seen me paint up in the previous vlog, I had a sculpt of this guy who was missing a hand and missing a weapon. So obviously he's only a Morannon Orc, his weapon doesn't matter. I went digging through my bits box trying to find him a weapon, and do you know what I found? I found Gothmog. Many years ago, in the most bizarre of twists, I did a conversion of Thorin on pony. This is years and years and years ago, and here it is. It's young Thorin on a pony, and I needed some legs for him. And wouldn't you know, it's not this sculpt. I think it was the other sculpt, but these are Gothmog's legs. Gothmog's legs kind of did the job for my young Thorin on my young Thorin Oakenshield on pony conversion. So that's where they came from. So I had this old metal Gothmog at the time who I sawed in half, put onto a pony, and then put Thorin's torso on. And in my bits box, I found the top half of that Gothmog, and of course he's holding Gothmog's sword. See where this is going yet? So I took Gothmog's sword, which is here, and glued it onto the plastic Morannon Orc. So you should be able to now tell that this sword here, this metal sword, which, well, isn't this one, obviously, it was, you know, because this is the plastic one, but the one that would have been here is now on here. So I'm now in this bizarre situation where this plastic Morannon Orc has a metal version of Gothmog's sword, and this metal Gothmog has a plastic version of this Morannon sword. And I thought that was kind of bizarre and amusing, and the sort of weird, utterly bonkers, trivial madness that our sort of hobbyists enjoy. So yeah, there we go. Obviously, what I should have done is find Gothmog about a year ago and put Gothmog's sword onto Gothmog, rather than having this whole palaver. But as it turns out, it worked out quite well and has left me with this kind of inadvertent conversion. This is the one with Gothmog's sword here, and as you can see, it's just you wouldn't even necessarily know, but it's just a slightly different kind of pose and angle on what looks like a very, very similar sword. So there we go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And that is what I have done in January. That's what I've managed to get painted. So I'm going to jump over to the sofa and we are going to sign off, but also go through the totals for January and see how well I'm doing on the Grand Pledge for 2020.
So there we go. That's what I managed to get finished within this hobby vlog. I think, it's quite hard to remember, but I think I started recording that one on the 31st of January. It's now the 18th of February, so it's about 2.5 weeks later. But as you can see, I've made pretty good progress. I've painted 3 Morannon Heroes, the Captain, the Shaman, and the, what's his name? Drummer. And also painted up 9 bonus Moria Goblins as part of the Battle Streams of Middle-earth. And also painted the King of the Dead and his Heralds as part of that other video. So not a bad haul for the last couple of weeks that I wanted to kind of update you on. But that's it. It's one of those things where the vlog's going on, and it's really hard to know sometimes. You don't do them every week, but when do you stop? You stop at the end of a model, and I've reached a natural break because those other 3 heroes that I showed you at the start, I'm not doing now. I'm quite rammed at the moment for deadlines. I've got the SBG photo shoot coming up for issue 10 in 2 weeks and the GT in 3 weeks. And I don't need Gothmog's Enforcer, Zagdush or Goroth for either of those. So I've decided to park them for a bit and then move on to some other projects. I promise to myself more than to you that I'm going to come back to those guys after the GT. So you'll see those guys get finished off probably in mid-March. I'll get back from the GT and finish those off as the first thing. But for now, I've got to move on to other projects, which I'll introduce in my next vlog that will cover the next few weeks. But there we go. So I thought also, whilst this is now mid-Feb, I hadn't caught up on January on my hobby pledge. And I said this at the start of the year in one of my previous hobby vlogs, that my goal for the year was to reduce the percentage of unpainted models in my collection. The wording on that is very important. So it doesn't mean reduce the number of unpainted models, it means the percentage. And the basic idea of that is that every time I buy a model, I have to either paint or sell a model. So even if by the end of the year I've currently got 400 unpainted models. Even if at the end of the year I still have 400 unpainted models, I've also painted some more. So if I buy an extra 100 but I paint 100, that's good, and the percentage will change to more positive. So that's the kind of goal. And what I want to do to try and keep myself honest, even though as you'll see it's not going to be a great idea, is to update it month by month. So we can track it month by month, and hopefully it'll work out by the end of the year. So the good news first. I feel like this is on the Crystal Maze. I don't know if you, like guys in the UK will probably remember the Crystal Maze, the original one from when we were kids. But I don't know how well it travels abroad. But there's a show called the Crystal Maze where at the end the team would have to go into a massive dome, and they would have to catch like tokens. Gold tokens were good and silver tokens were bad, and at the end they would reveal how well they did, and they had to get more gold tokens than silver tokens. And of course the gold tokens in this represent painted models, and the silver tokens represent bought models. So let's start with the good news. The good news, the gold tokens, I painted 26 models in January. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I painted the Ballista and its 3 crew. That's 4. I painted the King of the Dead and his 3 Heralds. That's 3. I painted 9 Morannon Goblins, and I painted 13 Morannon Orcs. Now I know I've just painted those 3 heroes, but I did them in February, so I'm keeping them for February's day. I'm going just what I painted in January. I'm keeping it honest. So 26 models. I'm pleased with that. I'm really happy with that. I painted, was it 63, I think, in 2019? So I've painted like a third of the models I painted all year last year in the first month. So that's good. If I keep this going, I'm going to paint 240 models this year, which I probably won't. But yeah, we'll see. That'd be great if I could do that. Even more than that, wouldn't it? 260. About 300 models. Whew. 300 models in a year, but I'll never keep it up. But it's good. It's a good start. So that's good. So gold tokens, yes, you got 26. And the thing about the Crystal Maze was you could always see the table before he said them. So when the camera zoomed in, you'd see the table, and he'd have his gold tokens like this, and he'd have his silver tokens like this next to him, which kind of diffused the tension. So he always used to say, well done everyone. It's Richard O'Brien out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You go, well done everyone, well done team, you did very well. You got 44 gold tickets. And they went, oh very good. Yes, but unfortunately you got 700,000 silver tickets. So unfortunately, no life for you. And they would fall into the pit of snakes or whatever it was that happened to them. They didn't get the day out at Butlins or wherever they used to go to. But yes, so 26 painted models, but sadly 57 bought models. Oh, been naughty. I bought a load of models. Yeah, so I've already kind of scuppered myself a bit. Please let me explain, because I've got some kind of persuasive lies to help me deal with this. My lovely wife for Christmas got me all the Forge World Hobbit heroes, all the personalities of the show, whatever they're called. About 8 of them I think I ended up getting, which is awesome. And the only one she didn't get me because it wasn't out was Rosie and Gaffer. So because I had these, I was like, well, if I've got all the others, you kind of got to get Rosie and Gaffer. And also, it's Rosie and Gaffer. They're amazing. You got to get them. So I picked these up. Worth noting, by the way, 3 flower pots in there. I am counting that as 3 models. So when I say I've bought 57 models, this is 5 models. Now I know you're crying, but Damian, that's madness. You could have 54 models if you didn't count them. But wait. Down the line, this becomes 5 painted models. Huh? Yeah, not just a hat rack, my friend. So I picked those up, which was fair enough. And of course, with Forge World pricing, these were going in and out of stock, so I kind of really wanted to get them. Even though the game's really stable at the moment, I still have that kind of fear that things are just going to vanish or go from production, which I know probably isn't true at the moment, but I was like, oh, these are going in and out of stock, I better get them in case they inexplicably go from the range. So I picked those up, and you have to get to, I think it's 75 quid. So I picked up some missing bits from the collection, which were Elfhelm, Foot Mounted, who's awesome, and Aldor and Haleth. And they got me up to the postage limit, I think, with a few other bits as well, like paints and stuff. So cool models that I did want. There's only 4 models in total here. There's a good chance of these getting painted like relatively soon. I'm into these armies, so that could happen. So I picked those up, and I can deal with that. That all makes sort of sense. It's only 9 models. So it's like, all right, that's not too bad. And then crazy old Maurice, crazy old Damian. He's always good for a laugh. Turned up, and I started thinking, well, now I've got all these Hobbit heroes. I'm definitely committing to a Shire army down the line, and I've got a bunch of Shire stuff ready, and I've never had the time or the inclination to it, but I was always like, yeah, I'd like to do that one day. I'd love to have a big sea of hobbits, not for competitive play or anything, just because I think they're cool and I think the theme's cool and it's just awesome. I got Scan of the Shire when it came out, remember when it came out, it kind of didn't mean anything to me because I didn't have Shire, I didn't have Ruffians or anything like that. But I was like, well, I'll pick it up. It's a great book, and I just love that section of the book, and I love the first section of the Lord of the Rings where they're all in the Shire, like all the stuff in the Old Forest. I just love hobbits. I think it's really, really cool. And I started thinking, now I've got these models, I want to make sure that I've got basically every hobbit I could possibly need, essentially, for the future. So I went through the book and scanned the Shire and made sure I knew how many, and then I got a few more, as we often do. I kind of tried out a few army lists and stuff. And basically I then put into an order to Games Workshop and ordered a whole bunch of hobbits. I think in the end I got like 7 blisters more hobbits, you know, like militia and archers, only 12 sheriffs, obviously, for this kind of one-day hobbit project. So that, of course, suddenly from nowhere is 28 more models. So I've got them now. And I was just debating, is Scour and Shire here? Yeah, we have Scour and Shire here. Part of me, it was like the gaffer thing, I was thinking, we're quite unlikely to just lose models now. You know, the game's in such a great place that models aren't going to disappear. But we have seen what they've started doing is cycling models in and out. So at the moment, if you want to get Angmar or you want to get Far Harad, you can't get them. And given that this is the first time they've done this under their new sort of system of cycling now, we don't know how long it is. I've seen a lot of people saying that the Arnor stuff and the Angmar stuff has gone, which means it's the next supplement. And I that's not the way I read it. I read it was almost like these are the furthest away from becoming a new supplement, and so they've been pulled out because there's no chance we'll need them at any time, and they'll come back. So I think Angmar and Arnor might be coming back in 2 years or something like that down the line. So I think I don't think it's once they're gone anymore now, thankfully. I think our hobby's alive and well. But I do think if something's on sale, particularly the metal stuff, I think you want to get it if you want it. And that's how I took it with the Shire stuff. And so I basically thought, my other thing was, now that this is out, does this make like the Shire range the safest range in the game or the most at risk? You know, there's part of me that thinks, because the current now that the book's been done and they've had their push on the Shire, maybe the next thing that gets cycled out will be the Shire. But then the other side of the argument is the current version of the Middle-earth strategy battle game has a book about scouring the Shire, so they'll probably want to support the range. And I think it's that one. I think I lean towards that now they're going to want to make sure that, I think they're going to want to prioritise that any book that they have in the current edition you can buy the models for. That's where I reckon they're going with it. So I think Gondor and Mordor and Rohan are pretty safe at the moment for those reasons. So I think we're probably all right, but it's just put my mind at rest, basically. I just bought all the hobbits I could ever want, so that that project is now done. I know that they're away somewhere safe, ready for whenever I dig them out for that one day project, essentially. So yeah, because of that, I've ended up buying 57 models in total. But here's the thing, the vast majority of them are hobbits. So if you don't count the hobbits I bought in January, 8, 12, I only bought 12 models. That's a bit better. Bought 12 models, painted 26. Good work. And my logic here, my crazy lying to myself logic, is that this is a one-off. This is a kind of freak one-off. I'm not going to be buying a one-day army every month. So it's not that I'm not counting it by any means, but in terms of what the average is more likely to be, I feel like I've bought 12 models and painted 26. I know, I'm in denial. But yeah, so that's what I've ended up doing. So I'm not pretending though. I lost January. I bought 57 models and I only painted 26. But what I am going to do is, because I think it's a kind of freak one-off, I'm giving it a couple of months to. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm giving it a couple of months to balance out. So I reckon we'll have to wait and see. But I reckon maybe by the end of March this will have evened out, because I'm going to keep painting stuff and I'm not necessarily going to keep buying stuff. But you know, there we go. Who the hell knows in this crazy world? But that's how I did in January. So. A bit disappointed in myself for buying so much, but equally, this is what the hobby does to us, right? I'm also deeply excited to have tons more models, but I'm also very, very pleased that I've painted 26, because that's far more than I would have been painting per month last month. So there we go. There is my hobby vlog 54. I think this one was. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's also the roundup of January. I'm now going to be painting. I've basically got a whole bunch of stuff, as I said, due for the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to... My next hobby vlog will probably cover the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 or something. So there'll be another one of these hobby vlogs, hopefully in about 2 or 3 weeks, showing some of my next projects off. In the meantime, I think I do have some more content coming out on the channel, so there will be more videos coming between now and then. But yeah, there we go. That's where we are. I hope you're enjoying it. Seems to be semi-regular content going up on the channel, and I hope you're liking it. Until next time, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit host by clicking on the links below. Like us on Facebook, support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming.